Messing up a shower repair can leave your bathroom looking ridiculous, tanking your resale value and leaving you with hours of headache. Whether you're trying to shim studs or floating drywall over a flange, most methods just create a mess. In our last video, we showed why butting the drywall directly to the flange to create a trough is the fastest and flattest way to address this, especially if you plan on adding tile later. This is part 2, where we take that solid foundation and start the finishing process to make this entire transition disappear. By pairing fiberglass mesh with setting type compound, we aren't just taping, we are engineering a structural weld. Stick with me, and I'll show you how to turn a difficult transition into the strongest, flattest part of your room. When you're filling a large gap like this trough, you can't afford to use standard all-purpose mud. It has too much water and will shrink back as it dries, leaving you with a concave mess. I'm using a setting type compound because it's denser, has far less shrinkage, and offers much higher moisture resistance for a bathroom environment. Because it cures chemically, it's going to stay flush with the drywall. This allows us to move right into taping after about 20 minutes of set time, creating a rock-solid foundation that won't move or crack later. While the pre-fill in the trough is drying, I'm moving right along to taping the surrounding seams and angles. I'm setting the mesh tape in hot mud to maintain that high-strength bond across the entire wall. For this phase, I'm using 20-minute easy sand to keep the pace up. But if you're doing this at home, I'd recommend 45-minute mud. It gives you that extra working time so the mud doesn't start setting up in your pan before you're finished. I make sure to feather down the edges after I've wiped the excess mud away to keep everything nice and clean. This is how I tape when I'm not doing the fill coat directly on top. I want to pull the tape tight and smooth so the next coat can start on a clean surface. By not packing on the next layer immediately, I'm keeping my dry times down, because even with hot mud, stacking it too thick too fast can actually delay the drying process. This approach comes from my years as a repair specialist. I'm not a production taper, I'm a patch match specialist. In the repair world, we have to be proficient in every stage from hanging to sanding, and we specialize in getting jobs done quickly, usually same day. Using mesh and hot mud allows me to build a professional structural repair in hours rather than days, without sacrificing any of the quality you'd expect from a full-scale crew. Before we jump into the fill coat, there's one quick maintenance step we can't skip. I'm taking my knife and scraping any dried hot mud off the shower surround. Because this is a non-porous surface, that mud pops off cleanly with just a little bit of pressure. It's really not much of a chore at all. You want to get these chunks off on your own terms now, rather than having them fall into your fresh mud by mistake later. There's nothing worse than being mid-pull on a perfect coat and having a dry chunk create a huge line through your work. Taking 30 seconds to clean your canvas now saves you a massive headache during the finishing phase. Now it's time for the fill coat. I'm starting with my 6-inch knife to float out the tape over that trough. Normally, I might reach for an 8-inch knife for a first coat, but because the joint to my left is so close, I'm keeping it tight. This prevents me from digging into my fresh work when I move to the next section. That 6-inch blade is also perfect for maneuvering around the shower head with ease. In the repair world, we're in tight spaces all the time, and this knife is built for exactly that kind of agility. Once I've worked my way all the way around the trough and covered the mesh, I move on to the seams where the old drywall ties into the new. You might not be able to see it clearly because of the existing paint, but there is finished drywall everywhere. To call this a successful patch, I have to read the wall perfectly so the texture and paint match seamlessly later. I've switched to my 10-inch knife here to fill coat the remaining seams. My strategy is to load the patch up with plenty of mud and then smooth it flat in a few quick passes, rather than working it little by little. This keeps the mud fresh and the transition dead flat. I'm using hot mud to splice these bullnose pieces together. I load the mud about 6 inches above and below the joint, leaving plenty of material behind to sculpt. Then, I work from the center outward to match the natural curvature of the bead. The goal is to bridge that gap perfectly, so once it's sanded and painted, the transition is completely invisible. Now for the skim coat, I'm blending the joints on the left and right to build them out to the same level surface plane. I'm relying on the hot mud to hold its shape without shrinking, which allows me to come back later with a tight finish coat of all-purpose mud and texture. When you're pulling this coat, focus on feathering the edges out into the surrounding wall. You want to bridge that transition so the patch slowly vanishes into the existing surface. My best advice for a smooth skim is to keep your knife clean and maintain consistent pressure. But don't get stuck in the weeds trying to make it perfect. We're still coming back with a final pass of all-purpose to catch any minor imperfections. The best part is that hot mud scrapes smooth between coats, so I don't have to worry about dusting out the room with heavy sanding. As a repair guy, I stick to hot mud because it's the quickest and cleanest way to get a professional result without the mess.
Man, you outspeed us like it hits all of us first.
Here I am using my 6-inch knife to scrape down the transition where I overbuilt the patch earlier. This really shows the strength of Easy Sand. It's brittle enough to sustain carving after a minimal cure, so I can match the surface plane without the dust of a sanding block. Once I've shaped it exactly where I want it, I'll follow up with a tight finish coat of all-purpose mud to catch any remaining pinholes. I'm switching to all-purpose joint compound and a 12-inch knife to make quick work of this finish coat. I'm feathering everything out one last time to meet the surface plane, while also tying in these couple of patches next to the toilet so the entire wall flows together. At this stage, you can see the repair coming together nicely. Once I'm finished, you won't be able to tell any work was done at all, thanks to the Southwest knockdown hand texture I'll be applying to match the surrounding drywall finish. We're moving into the final phase, texture and paint. I'm applying a Southwest-style hand texture, which is incredibly effective at blending repairs, especially here in the high desert, where clay soils expand and contract with the rains, causing houses to settle violently. To get this texture right, follow these 5 tips. First, mix your mud to a pancake batter consistency. It should run off the blade, but not be soupy. Second, load a speed bump of mud onto the very edge of your knife. Third, hold that edge near the wall, only lowering the angle when you're ready to pull. Fourth, let the knife drag down the wall using only the weight of gravity. Don't press forward. Finally, slowly close the angle of your blade as you move to keep the mud dropping steadily. The biggest mistakes are using mud that's too thick or applying too much pressure. If you're struggling, practice on a scrap piece of drywall laid flat on the floor. Drag the knife without pressing down to see how gravity alone creates that perfect skip. Once you've mastered the angle and the flow, the texture becomes your best friend for making patches disappear. Thanks for watching Walls Explained. Stick around for the final paint reveal, and I'll see you on the next repair.